Well, this month we've been talking about stewardship, and my starting point for these stewardship principles that we're talking about is the stewardship principle that God is the owner and I am the manager. Now, if I truly believe that God is the owner, if I believe that God is the source of all that I possess, then it is my responsibility to use what He has entrusted into my care in a way that honors and pleases Him. 2 weeks ago we talked about the stewardship of our time. Last week we talked about the stewardship of our money, of our resources. And today I want to talk about the stewardship of opportunities. Now, if we are in business and we have the opportunity to make a big sale, we want to do everything that we can possibly do to make sure that that sale comes into fruition. We want to make the most of that opportunity. If we have an opportunity for a promotion, we want to make sure that we're doing everything just right in order that we can ensure we're doing everything we possibly can to receive that promotion. If it's an issue that we've got an opportunity to buy a new home at a great price, we want to do what we can to make the most of that opportunity. Now, I believe that we can relate to making the most of opportunities when opportunities knock. But have you ever thought of being a good steward of your opportunities? If you are one who seeks to be a follower of Christ, if you seek to be in the center of His will day by day, there will also be some opportunities that come your way in life that you have to choose whether you will respond to or not. And by responding to those opportunities that God gives to you, you can make a difference not only in another person's life, but you can make a difference for His kingdom here on earth. But if I fail to take advantage or open a door when the opportunity knocks that God has given to me, then my failure to act on that opportunity is actually a failure on my part to be a faithful steward. Bill Hybels has said that when we fail to make the most of an opportunity that we have created, it's no big deal. But when we fail to make the most of an opportunity that God has given to us, then there are huge implications at that point. When we fail to respond to circumstances or opportunities that we have created for ourselves, it doesn't necessarily have eternal consequences. But when we fail to respond to opportunities God gives to us, it can have eternal consequences. But when God is leading your life, there is a possibility that something supernatural is going to happen. And so, if we have the opportunity to respond to something which may be interjected with God's supernatural power, that is definitely an opportunity that we want to take advantage of. That's an opportunity that I want to be right in the middle of. Hybels has said that at the end of the day, I would rather risk being on God's program and live with the outcome of trusting Him than to have confidence in my own program. Well, what keeps us from doing what God calls us to do? Well, I believe that the first thing that keeps us from doing what God calls us to do is fear. We're afraid that God won't come through. We're afraid that somehow we will end up with egg on our face. We're afraid that somehow it might damage our reputation. But a second thing that keeps us from taking advantage of opportunities that God may give to us is selfishness. I don't take advantage of an opportunity that God gives to me because I want what I want. I want to do what I want to do, period. And if it means me sacrificing in some way, I don't want to have any part of it. Well, Hybels suggested that one of the ways that we face down our fears is to think about it in these terms. I will choose to trust Jesus until he proves himself untrustworthy. I will choose to trust Jesus until he proves himself untrustworthy. Remember the story of Gideon. God had called Gideon to lead the Israelite army to conquer their enemies. And as God calls Gideon said, well, okay, God, give me a sign. Let me make sure that you indeed are on my side and you're going to help me out at this point. And so he said, I'm going to put some fleece. I'm going to put some wool on the ground tonight. And in the morning, if the fleece is wet and the grass around it or the ground around it is dry, then I know that it's a sign from you and that you are going to show us favor in battle. And so Gideon put out the fleece. God made it wet. And in the morning, what did Gideon do? He said, now God, if you can pass another test, I'll do the same thing again tonight. And in the morning, this time I want the wool to be dry and the ground to be wet. Gideon was putting these tests out for God. But what if Gideon had simply trusted God to begin with? Instead of putting God to the test when it comes to proving his trustworthiness, what if we choose to trust him until he proves himself untrustworthy? If we always insist on God giving us a sign, sometimes we'll miss the opportunity. But if we choose to always trust God and open the door when opportunity knocks that he's given to us, we can trust him, and if there's a point at which he proves himself untrustworthy, then we can change the way we respond. Listen to what the Apostle Paul has to say about opportunities in Ephesians chapter 5. He says, be careful then how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. Now, Paul is not intimidated by the fact that his enemies are trying to discredit him or trying to destroy him. He's found confidence and great courage in the certainty that as God gives him the opportunity, as God knocks at his door with opportunity, he's going to open the door and he's going to walk through it. He's determined that he wants to do all he can to maximize the opportunities God gives him. Paul seized every chance that he was given to declare God's truth, to demonstrate God's character and to encourage God's people. However, on several occasions, he wrote that he was able to make the most of his opportunities, not because he was a great saint, but because he was willing to be God's servant.